All right, folks. It is Wholesale Wednesday. We were just talking about this portfolio deal, and I'm going to keep running with it. Obviously, I'm in the same setting. I want to talk about it from a different angle, though. What I would like to talk about today is wholesaler etiquette. There was a lot of mistakes made by this wholesaler, faux pas, if you will. They were atrocious, and I'm going to go over some of them today. And I'm going to send this out to the ether, and feel free to leave comments on what you think I should and shouldn't do, because I'm in a position to where I either need to be the person that teaches some very valuable lessons, or I have to sit at night knowing that this person made some innocent mistakes and overstepped. So you tell me what you think, right? So we're negotiating this deal, and so the first red flag of this entire evolution, I would say, is they didn't list their wholesale fee, right? They didn't list their assignment. And it's not that I need to know how much you're making. It's that the entry fee typically is that. I asked her what the entry fee was, and she just gave me the down payment. That was different, right? It was down payment, didn't talk about closing costs, didn't talk about any of the things that are typically in marketing a subject to as a wholesaler, right? A subject to or any other type of creative, right? Which this deal by nature is creative because it's 100% seller finance, right? Typically speaking, as a wholesaler, when you present these deals to buyers, right, you've done some fucking work. You've done something, anything actually, anything to add value to this situation. And in fact, what I found out through the process is absolutely nothing was done. There was no underwriting done. There was no review done. All there was, hey, if we wrap your interest into the loan, would you be interested in, principal only payments and, a 6-year term, right? That was the only thing that was done. So you had a rudimentary understanding. You fell on a fucking gold mine, and then you started. And this is what I do respect, to give credit where credit's due, is you jumped in with both feet and you don't know what the fuck you're doing. So a little caveat here: respect for going into the unknown, but allow me to spread some lessons, because I've already said all of these things to the wholesaler, and we'll see how it goes. So the first red flag was that there was no assignment fee presented. And when I asked about the assignment fee, they said, I'm sure that you'll take care of me, and if not, the seller's likely going to. Okay, cool. Right. Now, I asked at that time, like any good salesperson, I said, so what are you needing? What's your typical? Well, I typically make between 10 and 15K per property. And I was like, okay, well, again, as sales go, we always agree, and we're like, okay, well, that doesn't sound crazy at this time. Again, non-committal language, right? So if you were more experienced in this world, you would know that I didn't commit to shit, right? You heard what you wanted to hear because you wanted a $75,000 payday, right? Though you didn't do any underwriting, and understand that there is not $75,000 in the deal for you, right? At all. And in fact, even your partner, that I found out later, right? Your acquisitions person is actually a daisy chainer, but it's not actually a daisy chainer, folks, because there's no fucking contract. How can you market a contract if you don't have a contract? How can you have any stake in a deal if you don't have a contract? How the fuck are we even doing a deal without a JV? And now I know why you didn't want to sign a JV, because there's no fucking contract. You have no stake in this deal. So, okay, fine. First, you have no contract. Second, right, you're not adding value. Right? If you were adding value, then maybe I would do things. So let's break down value. Second, we're going to break down value, right? So in this deal, when we're breaking down value, which means that you are adding something to the deal that would have otherwise not been there, right? So you introduced me, you added value, right? What past that have you done, right? So remember that piece here. You introduced me. That is a lead, folks. That is a lead, right? So there have been some terms that have been discussed. And when it gets to me, and I had thought the second red flag was that this person was pushing me to talk to the seller, and I wasn't ready to talk to the seller. I'm talking about like pushing me to talk to the seller, and to the point where I was like, okay, the follow-up is strong with this one, right? But it was a little off, right? And I was like, okay, this is cool. She's just eager, right? This should be fine. Then we get into the deal, right? And I go to talk about the underlining terms of the deal, and then the seller tells me that he's not even interested in this shit, right? And then I'm like, how can, in my head, in the moment, obviously I'm under the gun, so I don't let them see me sweat. But I'm like, what the fuck? Like, how are you not interested in this if you signed a contract, right? Like you're under contract right now, and she already told you that that she was a wholesaler, and that you're bringing me in as the buyer. So I'm having a discussion over terms that haven't even been finalized, folks. Right? Well, not the end of the world, right? I help wholesalers all the time lock up deals, all the fucking time. So why not do it this time, right? So I just go right into it and I start being myself, right? And this person wants to wedge themselves in the middle of it. And then even to the point the seller is like, why do we need her, right? And because she played me thinking that she had a good rapport with, I was like, okay, well, the seller, I was like, oh, she's got a good rapport with him. I'm like, okay, cool. And her acquisitions people, alluding to the idea that she has paid staff, right? Not some fucking wholesaler that stumbled upon this guy, said some slick shit, and then brought her in for whatever reason. And they're doing other deals. Now, they're also helping him with other things too. But again, for this specific thing, what did you bring to the table? I'll ask that question again in a minute. So now I have to renegotiate. I told her ethically, because at this time I still thought there was a contract. I said, listen, I will walk away right now. I said, I don't want to get in the way of you getting your nut. I said, I understand that you have something. So if you've got another buyer, then go for it. Now I'm calming down, right? So that's the second piece.